make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yesterday I had a little oopsie and I want to tell you about it. Most people would just move on with their day and pretend it never happened. I went, and this is what happens when I leave the house. I left to go to a meeting. I show up, I even put clothes on, real clothes. I go, I'm there, feel like, okay, I look good, everything's fine. I get home and Tony goes, oh, what's that? And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, look at that. So this is the shirt I was wearing yesterday to this meeting out in public. And this, is it this sign? Is what I was wearing. Oh, giant hole in my shirt. Giant hole. Thankfully, I wasn't doing jumping jacks. I'm sure I don't think I hugged anybody, but that was me out in public, just like a professional. Don't mind me. And I've only worn this shirt like 4 times. I'm mad because I love it. Anyway, so that was it. So that goes in the garbage today. And I guess I have to go shopping for clothes is really what it is. I want to thank John and Ashley for our new stickers. We, if you don't know, we have, can you see any on here? Let me see. We have stickers all over the backdrop. So when you're watching guests, when you're watching me, there's stickers. And so these are going to go up. If you have stickers for your business, for your band, for your art, let us know and we'll put it up here. So we'll be adding those today. Let's also see how many views we have, shall we? Let's do it. Roll it, mystery drummer. As of this morning, 215,344. Thanks to everybody who watches this show, for everybody who shares it, who shows up every day to watch all of the amazing people. Thank you so much. We had almost 100,000 views in January, and let's do that again in February, shall we? So now's a good time to just share the show. You're watching, just share it. Just go. It's also Throwback Thursday, so let's see what we have for Throwback Thursday. This is me in 2020. This is the first month setting up doing virtual interviews after the pandemic started, and that is a corner in my 1-bedroom apartment in San Antonio, which I took a lot to figure out and to set up, and it actually turned out to be pretty cute on camera. But that also goes to show you, people out there doing podcasts, you don't need a ton of room. You don't need a ton of stuff to put and make a good show. It was fun doing that way. And now we've got all of this. 2020. Okay, it's hard to believe that was 5 years ago. That's crazy. Let's see, what else do we have this afternoon, or actually right after this show, so I need to go. We're filming some more episodes for the Gorilla HR podcast, hosted by Becky. Becky's going to be here on Monday to talk about it, because the podcast premieres on Monday. If you are an employee or an employer, this is going to be a really good podcast for you to listen to. She is a straight shooter. There's swearing on this podcast, and it really is a great way to learn. I learned so much just from being the editor of this podcast. It's called the Gorilla HR Podcast. Premieres on Monday. We'll have some clips. Becky will be here. And it really is a great way to learn how to treat your employees, how to be treated as an employee, and what the workplace should be about. So that starts on Monday. We're recording episodes today, which is fun. Okay, I think that's it. We have a really, really good show today. So we're going to show up for Marcy and Jowell. Really great. So Marcy's back. She was here last week. She's back today to talk more about how we can show up in our lives. And then Jowell is here to talk about all of the charity work that she does and how she got into that and ways that you can help people in need. So I think we should just start the show, shall we? Let's go. Do you ever feel like you're just phoning it in or barely there in your life? My first guest today is here to change that. She's the author of How We Choose to Show Up, a book that's handing over the keys to a more fulfilling life. Based on 20 years of research, her work is helping thousands connect more deeply with themselves, their relationships, and their purpose. Join me in welcoming back to the show, Marcy Axelrod. Marcy, I am so glad you are here again. Welcome back.
Richard, thank you so much. What an honor to be back on your show.
I had such a blast with you last time, and I love what you're doing. And so I wanted you to come back, and we're going to do a whole series with you. You're going to be here indefinitely. We're not sure until we get sick of each other. Marcy, is really when this is going to end. But I want to dive deeper into like how showing up works. And we had originally talked kind of about doing it at the beginning of the year, but I feel like you should always be showing up. So, you know?
Yes. So we are always showing up every moment of every day, even when we're asleep and not conscious and not choosing how we show up. We are still always showing up, which is why having an easy model that helps us to choose and gives us, things to choose is actually really, really helpful.
Good. I know we're going to kind of break this down every week. So it's more digestible for everybody and they can start implementing things every weekend. And then I think we just grow from there as people. I'm excited to do this. So where do you want to start? You're the expert, so I don't want to take over.
So Richard, I think reminding people of what the big picture is, right? Because this is nature's model of how humans are designed to show up. This isn't Marcy Axelrod's model. It's no other kind of thinking, cognitively, based thing. This is really what nature designed. So I think giving people the overall picture is the start, and then we'll dive into each of the parts.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So I know you have some slides, but I want to share with people what the model looks like. And before I dive into quote this like model, which sounds like a cognitive construction, let me just explain. Humans evolved in three roles, and we've always been in these three roles. When you think about it, since everything shows up, I mean, fashion shows up, social justice shows up, our votes show up, the carpet in your room shows up. Like, because everything shows up, it turns out that everything is also in these three roles. But to really like bring this home, I think the vision that I mentioned on our last show is that, if you picture humans when we were, living in caves and surviving in tribes, even back then within that cave, we were each still individual selves within the situation of whatever was going on. Maybe there's a fire, maybe we're picking berries or making clothes, right? And then there was also something larger, something beyond ourselves out there in, outside. We can call that society. So we were always individualized selves, role one, existing within contact of the moment. That's our situation member role. That's our second role. And as always, members of something beyond ourselves. Our societal role, that can be a family, a religion, a race, a group at a business. So we're always in these three roles, and you say to yourself, well, but so what, right? Why does that matter? And it's because when you really look at, well, what does it mean to be a self? Are we separate? Like, what does it mean? What does it mean to be a member of the moment, to truly presence within something? And what type of impact do we have on the world when that happens, right? To really understand what the roles are changes how you show up. So there's just a picture. These are the three roles. There's this skill for each role, and there is a kind of continuum of high, medium, and low that's built into this. That's what it looks like. Richard, you can put it on the screen, but what we're going to do for our series is first we're going to look at the continuum with the levels across them all. Then we're going to do one show on truly showing up, a second on just showing up, level 2, and a third on being barely there. That's level 1. And then we can get into what the skills are. There's a skill for each role: grounding in ourselves, readiness for our situations, and connectedness with intent to serve in our societal role. So for right now, I think we should start with the continuum and
Okay.
what it really is. Yeah. So bottom line is, every moment of every day, you're somewhere on this stretch of either truly showing up, knowing who you are, knowing why you're there, being in touch with the meaning of the moment, and recognizing the impact of that longer term and on others. That is truly showing up. When we're tired, sad, disinterested, distracted, angry, hungry, something hurts, when there's any kind of distraction, we're not truly showing up. What our brains are doing is we're kind of, and you probably notice this all the time. You're kind of there, and then you're not. And then you're back. Oh yeah, someone's talking, I'm supposed to be listening. You're back. And then your mind wanders, right? So that's just showing up. And that's level 2. And 80% of us are doing that 80% of the time, right? Maybe you notice when you're driving your car, some of the time you're looking at the road and really focusing on what's going on, but then also you're kind of thinking in the back of your head, you're there, you're not, you're there, you're not. This is our natural state. It's what meditation tries to help us do less often, because we don't want to be this way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to briefly talk about level 1, and then we can come back to level 2. Level 1 is barely there. This is when you're really not there, right? You're burned out. You're just so exhausted. You cannot even bring yourself to think, in a clear way about what you're trying to do. You can be grieving a loss. Like, there are really a lot of reasons to be barely there. Sometimes we're aware when we're in level 1, barely there. Sometimes we're not. We're kind of unconsciously there. We're depressed. We're anxious all the time. And we're just stuck. So those are the 3 levels. What is really important about the continuum overall is 3 things. First of all, when you have an awareness that it exists, and by the way, as I said, this applies to everything. It applies to everything, because everything is at some level of showing up at each moment. Now, point number 1, we move along the continuum all day long. You might wake up, you're well slept, you've had some good breakfast, you've had a really nice send off of your kids to school, or your spouse to work, or whomever may be in the home, your pet. You focus really well, you show people care, and then kind of you're hungry, or you've used up a lot of intellectual power and energy, and you just need a break. So what's really going on there is that you're moving from some version of green into some version of orange. There's nothing wrong, right? We all need to recharge. But what you want to do after that is kind of notice what's going on. You're just kind of, it's improv life. You're just kind of walking in and kind of doing whatever shows up. It's not really ideal, because we want to be more thoughtful. We want to be more planful. We want to be more ready, so that we can interact in a deeper, meaningful way, and we can achieve what we're looking to achieve, right? So we move along the continuum at all times, and so does everybody else. And that brings me to point number 2 about the continuum. Point number 2 is that acceptance is deeply inherent within nature. So it's deeply inherent within the show up continuum. Everyone's going to do what they're going to do. And, as Mel Robbins said on the Oprah Winfrey show recently, like let them. Her phrase is let them, as if we're
That's
like
my new
giving
favorite.
control back.
Yes.
Well, be careful with it. Be
Okay.
careful, because letting others, so acceptance on the continuum is to a certain extent, it's the same concept of don't try to have control over things you can and don't get like wound up. But there's a much deeper thing when you accept that others are where they are, because what you really want to do is open your heart. You want to take that self-focused ego and you want to turn it outward. You want your mirror outward.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of letting them, maybe that's like a helpful step one. Let them do their thing and don't get so wrapped up. But really, you want to also ask yourself, do they need some support? Are they doing that because there's a fear? Are they trying to like not show my potential at work and kind of cut off the visibility that I worked on the project and really led this thing because they're afraid that they're insufficient? Right? So what showing up does beyond the let them is it helps you recognize we're interconnected. That's a really, really big thing. Accepting yourself for moving along, accepting others for moving along, but recognizing everyone is on this continuum. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to slam the book there. There's a couple of
She got very excited.
Yeah, the show up continuum, what it says in the book here is creating awareness, perspective, acceptance, and action. So it's far beyond acceptance. There's also awareness. There's a noticing and tuning in that's built into the continuum. And I'm going to show you right here.
Is it kind of like that, like the, when people go, well, that's just the way they are, or that's just the way I am. That's how I come off that way because that's just, is that sort of it, where like you're being aware of how you are in any moment?
Yes. Choosing. Yes. Showing up ideally is done with choice. So you say aware. Yes. So the continuum here, this is a version of it. And I think I sent you the slide that you can put up, but effectively when you're barely there, you're not noticing, it's all self-focus. And as you move along the continuum, the very next thing is you notice, whoa, a person seems really sad, or wow, I'm seeing that this place is really busy because of whatever. You start to notice, even when you're in a room you've been in 1,000 times, it's like, wow, I really hadn't thought about that family photo before. That was a really good time. I should really go be in touch with, right? Or I should send a quick text to everybody and say, remember this, and kind of have that touch point of care. Once you notice, the next step, Richard, is you tune in. How am I showing up? Like, wow, look at how I'm showing up. Wow, how, right? And you get curious about it, which is magically powerful. And then you're in this mode of learning about yourself. You're tuning in to the moment. This is presencing, deepening, and your sense of meaning is deepening, and you're more likely to remember it and to learn from it and to connect it with something else, such that you have a novel thought, you have an insight. So we go self-focus to noticing, to tuning in, and then the key, feeling with, and then you get to enacting care, and that's when the world is a better place. What are your thoughts?
I want to say that like this is a quick overview of everything that's happening, and that it's not like now you're better, and that you should get Marcy's book, and you should connect with Marcy to really go into this. Yes, and so Mike, I have a question when we were talking about before, when you're hungry, when I haven't had enough coffee, and you're showing up, right?
Yes,
And then
right
you
here.
go, oh yeah, I have a headache because I haven't had enough coffee. And so you're in that moment and you're
Mm,
recognizing that, and you're not showing up like as, I don't know, as good as you want to, but
right.
you're in the moment. How do you adjust? Because you don't, like, do you know what I'm trying to ask? Like, then what do I do? Like now I'm like, let's say, for instance, this conversation. If we showed up and I was really hungry and I was like, oh, but I have this interview with Marcy and now I'm here and I'm thinking I really need to get that, I don't know, popcorn after. Now what? Now I'm like in that moment, right?
Perfect. Perfect. So on the continuum, as you move up, right? So what you're saying is you have noticed, right? There's something,
Mhm.
I have a headache. You've tuned into it and thought, okay, I know I need coffee. This is from withdrawal of caffeine. You have tuned in.
Mhm.
You have thought to yourself, how is this going to impact what I need to do? I need to get on this interview. As you move into truly showing up, you're enacting care. So how am I going to care for myself and the others involved?
Right.
You can make a decision. I'm going to run and get some coffee, or I'm trying to get through this withdrawal. So instead, I'm going to gulp down some water, maybe stretch out, do something else to give yourself endorphins and dopamine, and then show up, because that's enacting care for yourself. So that's what you do. You make a choice. You make a choice. Once you notice, you've enabled choice. If you don't notice and tune in, there's no choice. You are doing what I call improv life, level 2, default showing up. Just walk in and see what happens, see what comes out. You
Yeah.
don't have
Right.
to do.
So would it be then, I'm just using us as like an example. So would it be then I guess the choice would be to go, Marcy, I'm going to need 5 minutes to go grab some water. Like I want to acknowledge that for both of us so that I'm present for both of us.
Yes, that's
Hmm.
exactly what you would do is think about, so as you move into truly showing up, how this moment interacts across time will show up for you, because you're bringing that right
Hmm.
hemisphere online, which can see across time, right? It went up to the mountain and looked down and says, whoa, so this is connected to this and this and this and this, and now I feel the significance and the meaning. That gives you the knowing. That's how truly showing up connects with your true north, and you don't feel stuck and you aren't thinking, oh my God, there's 15 things I don't know what to do. You are more grounded in yourself, so you're more ready for the moment, and you know what to do, right?
Yeah.
Your truer instincts come online.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what to do. And yes, for me, I go, when I'm in those situations, I go, well, I don't want to take any more of their time. I don't want to, like I want to make sure I am here, but taking that moment of like, listen, I just need 2 seconds. I need to go grab this thing, or I need to, make sure. Yeah, that makes so much sense, because it is also then going to snowball. If I'm stuck in this interview with a giant headache because I haven't had coffee, and then and then I'm going to the next one and it's just going to get worse.
Right.
And then
And
I'm no good for anybody.
that's exactly right. And how people show up for you is the result of how you show up with, to, and for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you aren't grounded in who you are, and you aren't ready for your situation, or connected with others, right? Because you're lower down on the continuum, you're just showing up. If you're just showing up and thinking, Marcy's not going to want to let me, say, hi, give me a second, I need coffee. You're then default showing up. You're pushing yourself down. You're not feeling with yourself or others. You're not enacting care, right? So
Yeah.
that pause, the moment you notice and tune in, which is the path of, through level 2, the moment you notice and tune in, right? And you move there, notice and tune in. you will then recognize, I know that this next podcast guest or Marcy or whomever it is going to want to support me in doing what I need so I can truly show up.
Yeah, that like makes my eyes tear up a little bit. Like that makes so much sense. Yes.
You're bringing care, right?
Yeah.
Reciprocity is built into how nature designed humans to show up, right? The sun shines down, the leaves give oxygen out, right? So reciprocity, mutuality is another huge concept built into showing up.
I also think of like when you meet someone, you go, how are you? And you're supposed to say, oh, I'm good. But, like there's no other option than to say, I'm great today. I'm having a great day. And what I wonder, like, to be like, today's not a great day. Like, or, like to be in that moment and really say what's happening. I wonder how that would change interactions.
Okay. Beautiful. It is so beautiful that you brought this up, which is authenticity, but it's all what's behind the ability to be authentic is the belief that others care.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe this person doesn't care, you're going to just show up and say, I'm fine, thanks. How about you? Because that's what we're trying to do. I just had a really almost show-stopping experience with someone who defaulted to, like, I had asked him about himself. He gave me a few sentences, and then in this weird moment, he shifted. How are you? Like enough about me. I'm supposed to now stop talking about myself and ask about you. And he asked about me. And that moment hit me because I really wanted to be with him, learning about him. Right? So I paused and I said, is it okay? Like, I'm happy to answer about me. Thanks for asking. Is it okay? Can we stay where we were on that topic? Talking about you. And there was a risk. There was a real risk that the person would be like, why should I share my stuff? I don't need to be vulnerable with you. But what I found myself saying is, what you did is appropriate. And I think a lot of people only want to hear so much and only care so much, but that's not me. I really do care. And there was a shift, like he shifted his body and I think that made an impression. It really made an impression. And I mean, it's not that I was trying to, it's that if you assume, there are certain people who care, and let's not shut it down. You don't even give someone a choice. You don't give them the option to care or show care. If you just default to, hey, I'm fine. Thanks. How about you?
Yeah. It makes me realize that even on this show, I'm very focused and I want the attention to be focused on the guest, whoever that is. And it is. And in reality, it's about both of us, and that I also matter in this equation about how I'm doing and showing up. And that this whole entire thing is it's about both of us.
Being human to human is what showing up is really about. This is nature's model of how humans are designed to thrive. And it's human to human. There's no race or height or age or religion or ethnicity, or we're human to human. And that is how we're designed to thrive, which is very different than what society teaches us right now.
All right. I know I told you that this was going to be really quick, and of course I lied, and we ended up going over the time I said, but what are we going to talk about next time?
Yeah. So next time I'm going to get into what it means to just show up. And then the following episode, we'll talk about what it means to truly show up. And once again, this is, there's a neuroscience component, there's a cognitive component, there's a behavioral component. I mean, this is real science. It isn't just kind of labels on a continuum.
How do people get a hold of you and connect with you?
Choosetoshow.up.com, or just put my name in. I've got 2 TED Talks. Go to Amazon. The book is there.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for this. I feel like I am a completely different person than I was 20 minutes ago. I love it. Marcy is going to be back next week. Oh, you wanted to say something, I could tell.
No, I wanted to say, how's your head?
Great. I feel like I'm very excited. I love it. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
Sounds great, Richard. Thank you.
We'll take a break and be right back after this. Don't go away.
You know what would be better than watching this commercial? Watching your commercial. Scan the QR code or visit makeyourdayricher.com/advertising to start promoting today.
If you loved that conversation with Marcy, she'll be back next Wednesday to talk even more. So tune in next Wednesday. I mean, you should also be tuning in every day. But my next guest is not just a certified confidence and wellness coach. She's a force of nature. She is the founder of Midnight Wonderland, a rock and roll charity event for mental health, and the founder of the new Show Me the Truth, a nonprofit supporting mental health resources. She's here to share her incredible journey and her passion for helping you build unshakable confidence. Please give it up for the person I think with the best name ever, Jowell Doughly. That is like the best name in the. Is that your real name?
That's my real name. It's spelled differently. So if you were to see the way I write Dolly, it's spelled Doughly, but I like to say Dolly because it's just easier.
That's such a fun name. Do you have siblings?
I do. Julian is my younger sibling. He's a boy, and he's 4 years younger than me.
He doesn't have a really fun name though.
No, Julian isn't as exciting. My mom's name is Lana, though.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so you were like, yes, you were, I feel like destined to be out there with that name in front of people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. When I first heard it on the news, when I did are we talking now? Is this?
Yeah, we're talking. Yeah,
okay.
This is how I run my show. We just chat.
I love it. Okay. So when I started this donation center randomly a couple of weeks ago, right? Like the week after the fire started, or a few days after. And a lady from one of our news channels, Fox 11, interviewed me. And so when I heard her say my name on TV, I was like, that's cute. Okay. I enjoyed it.
I'll stick with that. Yeah. Right? Can we start there with what you have started, what you have done since the fires? You are obviously out in California and you're safe. I'm guessing. And okay, yes. Good.
Yeah.
We all know the news cycles that, your big news for one day and then we don't talk about it. Here in North Carolina, we had Hurricane Helene and then that was everywhere and it's not. How is everything going?
It's so sad.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to Malibu yet, but I had some of my favorite restaurants in Malibu that are gone, completely gone. Some of the most beautiful houses, like what PCH is about, that like complete, it's like a war zone. The Pasadena fire, the Eaton Canyon fire. I personally haven't been up there at all. Like I've never even been there. I know some people that live there. I know people whose houses have burnt down, unfortunately, but I've never seen it. But I heard it was very beautiful and just like a war zone. So I think they're 100% contained. Last I heard, it's just California. We get earthquakes, right? So we're not used to this, and it's so crazy how like people like you, like in your state or even in Florida with the hurricanes, and like this is almost like a yearly thing. I can't even imagine what you guys go through, considering how we're feeling right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, when you're not prepared for even I think if you are prepared, you can never be prepared enough for something like this, like the devastation. And then when you're not, it just brings it to a completely different level.
It's insane. It's so sad.
Yeah.
So, when I almost got evacuated where I am because of one of the fires that had started in West Hollywood, or in Hollywood, I guess, Runyon Canyon, was watching the flames burn like right on my roof of my apartment complex. And they were saying that if the street above us gets evacuated, we're the next ones that are going to have to like get our stuff ready. So I had gotten my stuff ready, and I don't panic. So I'm not one of those people that like panic, but I realized like I haven't even gotten evacuated and I'm pacing and I'm like, okay, what do I need to bring? What do I take? Like what, my house is small. It's just in a 1-bedroom apartment, but can you imagine the people who had multi-million-dollar houses with like 10, rooms and just like all of these things that they're frantic about what they're going to take with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, they're I heard somebody say something like, it's not even the base of the house. That's what's hard. It's what's inside of it. It's the memories. It's not even the tangible stuff that you can't ever get back, so it was really, really, really sad. But so I almost got evacuated the next week. That next following week, I throw a charity event called Midnight Wonderland at the Whiskey A Go Go. The Whiskey is a pretty famous venue in West Hollywood.
Pretty famous. Yeah.
So I throw a charity event every December for the Midnight Mission. It's called Midnight Wonderland. It's a rock and roll concert. So I contacted my girlfriend, who's also very sad about everything. She was so worried about me. She's like, I need you to get your stuff and leave. Come to my house. I'm like, I think we're okay. So I called her and I was like, do you think the Whiskey would let us open their doors for a donation drive so that we can have people donate some stuff and then people can come in from that's closer to us? So we're pretty much in the middle of the Malibu and the Eaton Fire. So whoever wants to come and just grab whatever they want, And within 30 minutes, it was a Saturday at 7:30. By 8 o'clock, we had an answer, and Monday was when we started the donation. So
wow.
It happened so quickly, and it went amazing. I mean, I don't have a lot of followers on Instagram. She doesn't. The Whiskey does, and the Rainbow, who also owns the Whiskey, does. But the Rainbow reposted it. I reposted it. She reposted it. But the amount of people that showed up, it was like crazy. And then Slash from Guns N' Roses got wind, and he reposted it, and then it just blew up. So we had. I mean, the entire Whiskey was filled with donations. We made it look like a little pop-up. We had people come in to buy things, maybe that didn't lose anything, that just wanted to donate money. We're like, okay, we just want to get it. We wanted to get it out there. So
yeah,
it was very successful, and we were able to get everything out by Wednesday, and people were very happy, as happy as they could be. There was a woman that came in by chance. She didn't even know we were doing this. She happened to be on the street. Her and her husband lost 14 homes.
Oh gosh.
Because they had homes that they were renting. It was how they made their living. All 14 homes were gone in Malibu and the Palisades. So she was very thankful. She was crying. It just happened to be there. So I've just always been that kind of person. I kind of grew up in that culture where my family, we were just kind of known to help people. My parents are from the Middle East, and there's a lot of it's not the richest over there. So my dad worked really hard, and anything that he would make, they would send. Anybody that was sick here, they would help. So I kind of got that from them. And mental health has always been such an important thing in my life, just because of my music taste. So.
Yes, tell everybody the work that you do with in the mental health community.
So I'm a certified life coach. I'm not a therapist, but I love life coaching because I think that it goes hand in hand with therapy. I think people should do both. I pretty much. You do both? I love it. Yeah. You should. I think that it's a great compliment, because therapy helps you with your past trauma. Life coaching helps you move forward, right? Like it gives you the willpower to do things you may not have ever thought you could do alone, and just needed that motivation and that accountability. So I've always just been really big on listening and helping people as much as I can. And I think that it's kind of important, but people who listen help people more than you know. You don't have to say anything. Some people just need that, And so I just love doing it.
I total story about myself, I guess. But
Please.
I used to work for a nonprofit, and we were working with long-term cancer patients. And sometimes they didn't leave the hospital. And when I first started, a patient had died, and we were making art with them. And his wife called and said, can I have his art? And I remember thinking, what in the world am I supposed to say to this woman who just lost her husband as I hand over some art that he painted in a class? And someone told me, don't go there with an open ears and a closed mouth.
That's it.
And it was like, I thought, okay, good. I don't have to say anything. And just to sit there with her and listen to her and hug her when she cried, it felt like I was doing so much without really having to do anything.
Anything. I know. And it's so much. Just listening is such a powerful tool. That's cool. That's so cool. How long were you in that nonprofit? Now I'm asking you questions.
We're close. I did that for 7 years. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I might have questions for you in the future.
Yeah, yes, we'll chat. We'll chat. It's tough work. Nonprofit work is tough work. That's why I love having people who are in the nonprofit world on this show, because it's so hard. It feels like every day you're begging to do good work, and
it's hard to get people to donate money. I noticed when I was doing it originally, when it started, my charity event at the Whiskey Go Go, it started off as a clothing donation. It was a house party in my parents' backyard. Like how it went from a house party to the world famous Whiskey Go Go blows my mind. But
don't think about it. Don't think about it too hard. Yeah,
I really can't. But it was a lot easier to get people to bring donations versus people buying tickets. So I'm learning that process.
Yeah. What did you want to be when you were a kid, when you grew up?
A rock star.
What was your goal? Oh, yeah.
I wanted to be in a band. I don't play any instruments. I have them on my wall, but I don't play them. But I somehow ended up being in the music scene, and that's in a different sort of way, in my opinion. I think a little bit better of a way, because rock and roll is such, the scene is very tough, right? Like when you think rock and roll, you think men, like angry men.
Slash. Yes. Yeah.
Slash, Guns N' Roses, you think addiction, you think just all of that is rock and roll, but it's so beautiful. And to me, I met people through that industry that made me even want to help more. Just because of their stories and what they went through in life, and where artists are mostly broken. I mean, that's why their art is so beautiful, right? And I just think it's really great that a lot of people are advocating for mental health in that world. So I wanted to be a part of it.
Well, you help so many people. How can people help you and support you and what all the things you're doing?
Oh, thank you. So Show Me the Truth is still in the process of, I'm making a website. It's fairly new. So I am going to have a donation button for that. And I throw events. So if they're in the LA area, I want them to come to my events. I want to meet everybody. I want people to have a good time and feel good about doing it, if that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah. So they could share, once I have my website, share my website, they could donate. In the meantime, I'm working with 2 nonprofits separately, both that have to do with mental health. One is the Midnight Mission. So they can donate to the Midnight Mission. That's a beautiful organization that helps. There's a stigma with homelessness, right? So when people say, when I say I help homeless people, I've gotten a lot of, am I allowed to cuss? I've gotten a lot of problems for saying that. And people don't understand that the Midnight Mission helps homeless people get clean. They're helping people that want help. They're not just grabbing money and giving it to people on the streets, right? They're helping people who are sick, who want to get help, who can get help. So they can donate to the Midnight Mission. I love the Midnight Mission. And then I'm throwing a charity event in July for a company and or nonprofit called Music Cares. And they are also helping fire victims. So that's going to be separate. So both of those foundations are fantastic. So they could help
Okay, good.
them until I get mine up and running.
Okay, good. And what's the best way that people can connect with you?
Probably through my social media, or if they want life coaching, I would love to, help them with that. They can go to my website, imperfectrockstar.com, and set up a 20-minute meeting if they want, just to see if I test the vibe and see if that we're a good fit. Or if they just want to follow me on social media, my Instagram is JUJU underscore and then JOWELL, my first name. So I'd love to connect if anybody has any questions, if anybody wants to be a part of it, any volunteers for the event if they're in the LA area, or even just conversations. I love it. I'm here for it.
I have a question for someone who's always like you giving and making sure everyone else is okay. How do you keep your mental health in check? What do you do?
Therapy and exercise.
Yeah.
I am a huge, as a woman, exercise, a lot of women are like, yeah, I need to make my body look perfect. I need a great body. That's why I exercise. I tend to remind myself, because I'm not perfect and I do forget, but exercise is not just for physical
Yeah.
looks. It's really one of the most important things you can do for your mental health.
Mhm.
So I love exercise. I do spin and I do Legree, and I'm always trying new things, and I have trainers. And so, but those two I think are very, very important.
Yes, I wake up every morning at 4:15. Well, 5 days a week at 4:15,
Oh,
not
that's
to
nice.
keep on an extra 20 pounds,
Sure.
because it's a challenge. It's a great way. My days are completely different when I don't go to the gym, and it's
100%.
it's all in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
All-
ever find days that you don't go to the gym to maybe just, because if I can't, I love to walk. So I'll just do like a quick walk
Mhm.
around the block or something.
Mhm.
That's such a great step if you
And
cannot.
yes, getting out in the sun in the middle of the afternoon when you're like, I need more coffee and maybe a little walk in the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so important. Just a little walk helps. So that's
So
really
true.
cool. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. What do you love most about your life right now?
Oh, a lot of things. I'm just really, I don't want to sound like weird by saying this, but I'm proud of myself. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up in a very traditional Middle Eastern culture. And when I came out about not wanting to get married and not wanting kids, it was a shock to the culture, and it was frowned upon. So I had to kind of prove to my community and to my parents and to myself that that's not, being a mom and being married doesn't define a woman. So I'm just really proud of where I am and that I can help people. I'm
Mhm.
just proud of that.
I love that answer. I talk to my therapist a lot about being afraid to say that I'm proud of myself for stuff. So I will take that. You take that and you be proud of yourself. You should be.
Yeah,
You
thank you
really should be.
so much. I'll give you a little bit of advice or not advice, but a little thing that I give some of my life coaching clients. Every morning, just look in the mirror and say one thing that you're proud of yourself about, just one. You
Mhm.
can even say something about like, oh, I'm proud of the way my hair looks today. Anything, but do it almost every morning for a few weeks, and you realize
Mm.
your you change mentally, and you
Um,
become more positive, just like that, just naturally.
that starts tomorrow, and I'll let you know when I get up. I'm going to start it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. You too. I'd love to chat some more at some other point. So
You know where to find me. Just click that link when you're bored and see if I'm sitting here, because I probably will be.
yes, that's great. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jowell, so much. Well, that's our show, everyone. And good news. Everyone in the studio audience is getting a copy of Marcy's book. She's so nice to give it to everyone. So nice of her. How We Choose to Show Up is her book. What a great show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. And if you haven't shared it yet, just click that share button right now. Please. Thank you. On tomorrow's show, poet Autumn Williams is here and author Rachel Greco will be in the studio live with us chatting about her books. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.